I don't really play many other sports. I think, how my whole life is like Jesus, the Bible, all that. So like that's where I spend majority of my time when I'm not um, playing basketball, and that's kind of how like get away from it, escape from it. It's my my comfort, my home, my just where I turn to when things aren't going well, when things are going well. It's a great way for me to um, you know if my worth is in that, then basketball doesn't you know I'm not riding this roller coaster of emotions with basketball because that's all it is. It's not stability, right? You can have one game where you shoot really well, and you can have another game where you don't, and that could, if that's your whole life, that can really affect you mentally and affect how you treat people and affect your overall joy and happiness and peace. So I think it's very important to have multiple avenues in your life and multiple things that um, you know, can turn to, and the Lord is constant, right? He doesn't change. So that allows us to have a peace of mind regardless, right? And a work that never changes. So
I'm going to piggyback on that. There's a word that we've been studying a lot recently. It's abide. In the book of John, it says, "Abide in me, and I in you." The word abide means to either remain or make a home in. And so we were talking about like off days earlier, and how we spend our off days, and how we center ourselves, and how we reset. Because another thing that we don't realize is an off day could turn into a bad day really quickly.
yeah,
Like it's the kind of like if you are not abiding in the right things, or if your mind is not going to the right spaces on your days off, then it's a complete waste of time. And if anything, you'll get worse from it. And so, like Zach was talking about, in his days off, it's not just about, oh, I'm going to go binge a whole show on Netflix, or I'm just going to, doom scroll all day long, or I'm just going to go play video games for hours and hours and hours. I'm going to go try to, how can I get better physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually that day? Like he's going to check those boxes and make sure that that's a way he's growing too. Because when you do get to that place where you're just so burnt out, like you had a bad day, you missed a shot, you did bad on a test, like you just need a mental reset. Where are you abiding in? Because a lot of people, they'll abide in social media. There's a lot of people that will abide in um, going to a party. There's a lot of people that will abide in, just hanging out with the wrong crowd of people. It's important to center yourself and abiding in the right things. And so it says, "Abide in me, and I in you." We choose to abide in faith because we know that that's like there's in the Bible, it talks about being thirsty. Like you can drink the water from the world. Well, you'll always end up going back to it because you'll keep getting thirsty. When Jesus is eternal water, he's living water. So like when you drink the water of him, you'll never be thirsty again. And so we talk about on our off days, if we're drinking the eternal water, the living water, then that's just going to fill us and reset us for the entire week. So we always think about that instead of going to the world for just these quick highs to feel good and whatever it is. We're always going to choose the harder route and choose to just dive and try to get better in the word, because we know that that'll help us and really help us endure a long season of basketball.
How important is it for both of you to have kind of each other, like a second person who's also sees things the same way and can kind of help support and help like grow towards that common goal?
community is everything. Like you can't do anything by yourself. You need people around you that have the same mindset, the same goals. Um, like we talk about, iron sharpens iron. That's why we named that podcast what we did, because without each other, like we're not gonna be able to get better. We're not gonna be able to grow. We have somebody that we can come and confide in. We can confess our sin to. We can come to when we're struggling. And I'm blessed to have this guy in my crib with me every single day. Like it's truly a blessing to have a brother in Christ that um, has the same goals in life as we do on the court. And it's just like, you know, we have it's us two, and then it's also the rest of our team. Like the rest of our team is big in faith, and we have team Bible study. Right, we meet every Wednesday, and we get to talk about the Word and get to open up about things that we're struggling with and going through. And it's such a blessing to have that on our team.
Okay. And that's a perfect transition. You guys talked about Splash Disciples at the end of the last podcast, and we wanted to to make it a bigger part of what we're doing here. So I'll just I'll hand it over to the disciples. Tell me what you got today.
Well, I think we just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the Splash Disciples Instagram account that we have. We went to this camp this summer called the Ultimate Training Camp. It's like 200 athletes from all over the country it's at CSU Fort Collins, and we all get together and we learn about how to worship God in our sport. Right. So I think that was a very important concept to learn about because, we worship our sport as athletes a lot of the time. How can we worship God through our sport? Right. And it was just an amazing experience. There's nothing like it. The amount of peace that you feel, the hard times that you go through at this camp, because this camp is really hard. It's a bunch of athletes and like they put you through like this grueling, this grueling 24-hour thing. It's super challenging, and there's people, cramping. Like some people had to go to the hospital. Like it's wild, and it teaches you to rely on God when you run out of your strength, right? So it's to break you and to just make you rely on Him and others around you, right? So we created this Instagram account called Splash Disciples. I think Quinn's mom came up with the idea, right? Or was it you?
Honestly, don't even remember who kind of came. I think me and her were just like talking about it. It was a spurred moment, but Zay Fig, who's his basketball trainer, came and worked out with us, called us the Splash Disciples some random day, and it was because of the game. It might have been when we played Montana.
I think, yeah.
And we both hit a bunch of threes, and it was like this whole thing. And he posted something that was like, "Oh, the Splash Disciples," and then just kind of looked at each other and we're like, "That's fire."
Yeah.
And it kind of just worked. But like what Z was saying too, that camp, man alive, it'll break you down. Like Zach said, it was 24 hours, but it's a whole week long where you're just learning to worship. You're learning to bring God into your sport. But they do this thing called the special. I'm not going to give any details on it. If you want to learn the details, go to the camp. But the only detail I will share is that the special started at 4 p.m. on a Wednesday and ended at noon on a Thursday with about 1 hour's of rest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was like you were going and competing and running you're competing against each other, competing against other athletes and teams. And it will break and show you every single idol you have in your life and how it is a chain that's holding you back from being who you're meant to be. Specifically within myself, I learned what my idols were. I had a huge idol in winning. I prioritized winning over anything else. I prioritized it over my teammates. I prioritized it over people. I prioritized it over myself and my own well-being. And that was something that really held me back from being a better leader. There were a lot of mistakes I made in my past and, at other schools I've been at that I know that was an idol that held me from being great at where I was at there. I just read a book recently called Stay Sane in an Insane World by Greg Harden. And he writes about this hockey player who had, in the Bible, God talks about idolization all the time and idolizing things other than him. And, when you read the Bible, you usually think about other gods. Like, don't idolize other gods. He is the one true God. But a lot of people don't realize is that our own dreams sometimes can become idols if our brain's not in the right place for that. And so Greg Harden tells this hockey player, he goes, your dream of being in the NHL is an idol for you. And you know what God does with idols? He takes them away. And so that really opened my eyes for me and was like, look, if I ever want to achieve anything in this lifetime, whether it's playing in the NBA, whether it's just being a good father, whether it's just being a good friend to him, I have to put God in the forefront of every single thing that I'm doing and just put all my faith and trust in him and just do my best and let him do the rest. Because I know that my eyes just need to be fixated on him, and then I'll just let him handle whatever he wants to do with my life.
Right. Yeah. And after this camp, we created the account, and now it's an account for athletes to spread the gospel and to share their stories and their testimonies. And I just think that it's, if anybody has anything they want to share, like even if it's just like a word they read this morning or, or a hard time in their life, like they can go on this account, they can send it to us and we'll post it on there and they can share their stories. I think it's just encouraging to hear other people's journeys and what they've been through. And, it helps you to realize that like you're not alone. Everybody, all these athletes go through these same struggles that you're going through. Right. So it's a blessing to be able to share the gospel, share people's stories and testimonies. And, we're grateful and thankful for that as an opportunity.
I also think too, there's a stigma in faith about not wanting to share your faith, right? Yeah. It needs to be a private thing. Sure. And that's just the complete opposite, because I can't tell you how many times I have, like, someone's been nervous to share their testimony or something, and then they end up sharing it. And then that's a person in Ohio, but then a person in California is DMing me saying that this person's testimony from this person in Ohio has completely changed their life. Mm. And the person in Ohio doesn't even know it, right? They're just living about their day. They just posted this testimony and they're like, I was a little nervous to do that. But then they don't even understand how many people they've affected by telling their story. That like their courage and trust in the Lord to be able to share this word about their life gave encouragement and a light to somebody else a whole country away. And that's been pretty cool just for us to see. It's like, it's always the messages we get back and the support. And we obviously made those shirts, and now a bunch of people wanting to buy the shirts. And so that's been cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the shirts. Is there a spot to buy those, or will there maybe be in the future?
There will be in the future. We're currently working on that right now just because so many people have asked us. I'm trying to figure it out how I want to do it, but we have the production. We know how to do it. It's just a matter of putting together some sort of spreadsheet in a way to get the orders placed and everything like that. I'm not the most tech guy in the world, so I'm trying to figure it out right now. But yeah, in the future there will be.